everybody? It's your boy Pigsy People. No, there's going to be a lot of gore or death in this because my name, Pigsy People, interns people dying. Now, let's just get right into it, shall we? We continue our story right after Deku pummeled the Nomu and is about to join. Is now about to join the get into UA, not UA. You know what I mean? He's going into the. Let me think here. I'm thinking. What is he doing right now? He's going home. He's just going home right now. He gets home, goes to sleep, and waits for the next couple weeks because he has to wait that long. A couple weeks later, Deku comes back on the scene, and then Deku goes home. Well, Deku goes to UA again, and they explain that they're doing the sports festival tomorrow. So Deku just, that's all they do that day. But before Deku can just leave, a person taps on Deku's shoulder, and Deku turns around to find Koda. Do you know Koda, the guy who can talk to animals? And Koda then thanks him for saving his life, and he'd like to treat him to treat him to a dinner for saving him. Deku then tells him that he'll take the deal, just expect you to lose a lot of money. Koda just says, I think money is something that a life is worth. And then Deku walks with Koda. Then they go to this little restaurant. They take a nice little yeah, obviously Deku was being serious when he ate almost half the menu, and he said he was still hungry. Then afterwards, after he the other half of the area, still Kodo is making conversations with Deku, seeing what his background is. Obviously, Deku was explaining how he was born. When he was born, his mother died in childbirth, and he had to deal with the consequences of being born like this, having no mother, having to be raised in an orphanage, and having to deal with the murder of having to murder a kid because they were assaulting you for the rest of their life because they thought they were the only reason they couldn't be adopted is because of him, and how he had to live in a couple sewers for the rest of his life, only feeding on rats, hobos that basically had a lot of diseases. Yeah, and a lot of drug addictions, and how Deku had to deal with that, and then he just says that a hero tried to stop him, he killed them. Until Koda just says him to stop. Koda tells him to stop. You're ruining my appetite. And then he wholesomely smiles, just saying, that must have sucked. Sorry that you had to go through that. I didn't know you went through that. I just wanted to see if you had a life kind of like mine. And then Deku waits for a second. He's contemplating something. What do you mean by same? I was also told my face was not particularly great to look at. And then Koda looks down in a bit disgust and sadness in his own face. Until Deku tells him, "You don't look that bad. Look at me. Look at my teeth." And then Koda looks at Deku and sees him making a goofy expression because he has such he's a crocodile guy. And Koda does laugh. Big smiles. And then Deku, internally, not actually, smiles. And then Deku gets up, tells Koda he'll see him. He, he hopes to see him in the finals. Which, then we see a spark in Koda light. Like, you can see like a tiny scorch of fire in there. And we see Deku walk out of the area. And then Koda looks down with his fiery eyes to see a thank you note. Damn, why is my Joker styling on him? Okay, never mind. But then Deku just goes home, sleeps on it, and goes to the then a couple days later after they set it up. Yes, I said it's a day, but no, it's a week. It's a couple weeks, because it takes a bit. Because I want to reveal something, okay? And then Deku heads home. Well, not heads home. And stays at his week. Koda does finally. Koda does contact Deku sometimes, telling him that he's working on. He wants to show him something after a couple weeks. By the way, yes, Koda got Deku's number, which that's just nice. Deku gets a friend. That's wholesome. And then Koda and Deku are talking, and Koda is telling him that he's trying to work on himself to do what he asked him to. Then Deku tells him that you don't have. You do know you don't have to do what I say, right? And then Koda just says, "Of course I know that. It's just you lit something in me, and I want to work on that fire." Deku just says, "Keep going, Koda. Keep going, buddy. I know you can work. You can do it." Then after those couple weeks, Koda and Deku meet up face to face again. And guess what Deku notices? Koda is bulked up. He's kinda ripped now. Not like in the fan arts, but still pretty buff now. And Deku then smiles to Koda, runs up on him, slides on in there to say how amazing his muscles look, and then he pinches uh, Koda's bicep to see it's as hard as a stone. Obviously, Koda flinches because Deku can easily break through stone with a pinky, because he broke through bulletproof glass with just one finger, not even the strongest one. And then then they get ready for the air. Then they get ready for the event. The beginning event is obviously the running event, and the running event. Deku gets the thing begins. Obviously, Deku's just sprinting. Then he buffs up his legs, just his legs, and then starts sprinting faster than every person there. and is speeding up ahead towards Baku and Todoroki. Todoroki takes out a couple of robots, and then Deku just straight up just leaps through a robot, killing it instantly. And then he keeps sprinting. And they keep hopping across rocks. Eventually, they get across the rocks. Then the bombing thing happens. And Deku, being the intelligent guy he is, bulks up into his almost as much as his when he was fighting the Nomu, but not as much. And then just sprints through the bombs. And everyone just can't move in because the explosions keep happening. While Deku can just run straight through. And after a couple bombs clear, Bakugo immediately just shoots in a massive explosion to get ahead. Todoroki just shoots himself off as ice until they're right next to Deku in the final stretch. Yeah, they just leap the whole bomb part. Yeah, they basically just leaped through, leaped the whole thing. So, at the end, yeah, Deku wins. It's not that hard. He legit leaped. He leaped really hard forward. It's crazy how great that leap was. But yeah, he makes it. Good job, Deku. You're amazing. You're amazing. Clap, clap, clap. Yep, and he doesn't. Hey, yay. Sorry about that. I was kind of. My brain was squished. Deku, Deku gets them 10 million points. Koda immediately just runs up on Deku, telling him, can he be on his team? And Deku saying yes because he's his buddy. It doesn't matter that his quirk isn't great. It's his buddy. And then, um, oh, Sadaro, the Ojiro. You know, I can't remember the guys, but I know his hero name. It's Dupla Arms, and it's Duplicate. That's his name. Duplicate. Yeah, Dupla Arms. Ah, it's Dupla Arms. Yeah, sorry. Ask if he could join the team. Deku says yeah. That kind of ruins Mineta's chances of winning, but anyways. Then what's even crazier, Todoroki shows up asking if he can hop on, be on the top. Then Deku says, alright. And then he takes off his headband and gives it to Todoroki. And then Todoroki gets on Koda, Dupla Arms, and Deku's top. Deku's on front, by the way, because he's the tankiest one. Basically, support, tank, attacker, and defense. And then the thing begins. Obviously, everyone tries to get Todoroki immediately, but Deku, not even making Todoroki use his quirk at all, completely moves them like freaking bowling pins. Like a bowling ball. They just can't get to Deku. And Deku doesn't even keeps telling Todoroki that they don't need points. They just don't. Then at the end, then close to the end, people just give up. And then everyone tries to get each other's points. And basically, everyone who made it through the end made it. Well, except Koda, because he made it this time. Basically, Koda made it this time. And Basically, the two characters who are basically main characters. Basically, the two guys that got sidelined and lost, but this time they win, which is cool because they get to be in the ending. Then we get to the fighting things. All right, the fight starts with Sarah Shinzo about to fight Deku, and Deku immediately insults his appearance, insults how he looks, insults what he is or what he was or whatever he was. Then he just keeps insulting him. Deku unfazed and is just waiting until he stops talking. Everyone starts. Midnight starts to get starts sweating and uncomfortable because Deku is definitely unfazed by the insults, while Shinso is just insulting the guy now. That is until Shinso then insults Koda on how he, no matter how buff he gets, his quirk is still weak. Which then everyone just gets completely scared. Like they start bullet sweating, and so does Shinso. Actually, no, Shinso is like unoblivious, and then he looks in the crowd, who are look like their pants, and turn, turns, sees Deku start bulking up. Then he blitzes in front of Shinso, grabs his arm, and snaps it. Then he grabs his other arm while Shinso is screaming in pain, snaps it too. Then when Midnight tries to stop him, he just yeets Shinso at her, and just knocks her clean out. Koda is a bit embarrassed than concerned for Shinso. He's embarrassed that all the insults didn't work, but him, and he feels a bit sorry because whoopsie, his buddy got took his arms, and then Shinso was hospitalized because in that throw he broke two of his ribs. And crazy enough, Deku still doesn't get eliminated because technically he threw him out of the ring. Lucky for Deku, I guess. Then the next fight is uh, is Todoroki versus Deku. Kodo surprisingly still isn't out. He beat Ida and Tokoyami. So now he's in that there. Mostly because of his sheer will and strength. That's the only reason he won. Which is still a great way to win. And the fight begins. Todoroki immediately tries shooting an iceberg at Deku. Deku's a cold-blooded animal, so he just punches straight through it. He starts heavily breathing, though, because cold-blooded animal, remember, starts coughing, smoke, cold smoke. Then Todoroki starts spamming his ice things, but then Deku just punches so fast that his hands aren't even perceived by the naked eye. Only All Might and Endeavor can see them. And he's speed punching, and eventually Todoroki has to cool down, which Deku takes complete advantage of. Teleports right in front of Todoroki. Then he blitzes behind him, pushing him. That's all he does. Just light push. And then Todoroki shoots a massive iceberg, but Deku just smashes it as well. And then everyone gets confused what Deku's doing. And Deku just keeps wearing Todoroki out until he's like a half iceberg. But then he has to melt it. And then Deku quickly reminds Todoroki that he's not using his full power. His full power. So you can't use your fire side. And then Todoroki just realizes that his quirk is his, not his dad's. Which just completely shots Todoroki so badly, he completely freezes himself up. like he doesn't move. Then his eyes start watering, and then he starts crying, breaking down to his knees, and then just bawling. And then he starts. Uh, then it becomes. Then he lights up with fire. Then he fires up, and then just shoots a massive flame at Deku, who just straight up eats it, picks up Todoroki, and then hugs him. Very comforting hug, too. And then Todoroki just cries, like, very sadly, into Deku's arms. Big, birdling man, which is basically like a dad, which Todoroki did not have a good dad. Sadness. Basically, he looks like a bit. I'm kidding, it's very sad. And then Deku just lightly places him outside the circle, and then they say Todoroki's out, and President Mike's about to yell he's out, but Deku just death stares him like, he's out. Then he then he just picks up Todoroki and basically holds him like a baby and brings him out and makes him just lay on a bench with him. Koda does walk in to tell him that they're gonna have that he's going against Bakugo after he completely humiliated Ochako. That's actually a pretty cool shot. And then Deku just says, just use your power. Just use all your power. Your strength, your mind, your spirit, and the power that came from your soul. Then he points at Deku at Koda's heart, and Koda hugs Deku, saying, "Thank you very much. Thank you so much." And then Koda goes into battle with Deku just picking up Todoroki like the baby again, and then just Todoroki just sits on Deku's lap the whole time. Everyone's just staring at him like, does this bitch have no shame? And Deku stares at him like, no, I have zero shame. Okay. And then they look towards Koda against Bakugo. The battle begins. Koda immediately just hits Bakugo with a barrage of birds that he was hiding in his shirt. Yeah, he tears it off to show a lot of birds. And everyone sees how bulked up he got. And then he sends the birds at Bakugo, who doesn't want to be shown as a bird murderer. So he just tries smacking them away, which he gets a couple, but not all of them. As until Baku hits with him with an AP shot, which blinds them all, which then Baku can get all the smacks off. And then then Koda runs up on Bakugo, completely cleans his freaking clock. The punch was impressive. Straight up freaking bopped Bakugo to the ground. Then Koda, instead of quietly talking, yells, and then bugs show up. Yep, he already got through the character arc part. Oh, and then they just completely. Then Bakugo has to explode a lot of bugs. But they keep coming and coming and coming. And so Bakugo eventually gets overwhelmed. But he's not about to lose to this. So he just explodes all of the bugs away. It completely sprints towards Koda. And is about to shoot a massive explosion at him. Until Koda blitzes behind Bakugo. The explosion happens. But Koda grabs his waist, jumps into the air, just like Deku did, get a freaking slick spin, and then we see like a twin shot of how it's definitely Deku's move. And then just completely Zangief slams Bakugo into the ground, knocking him out. And then Koda gets up, heavily breathing, and falling over with that W. And sadly, Bakugo has to put Todoroki down and tells Ida to keep an eye on him. And Ida just salutes him towards uh, towards Deku. And then Deku just hops from the freaking arena, slamming next to Bakugo and Koda, picking up Bakugo from the freaking arm, throwing him into the crowd, and Kirishima catches him. Deki and Kirishima catch him. Then he picks up Koda, gives him a bottle of water, lets him cool down, and then he walks off. Then they both walk off. Koda throws the bottle. They turn, and they're about to get into battle. And the battle begins with Deku powering down from his buff state, so he can actually fight Koda fairly. The reason he's still in his buff form is so Todoroki could have something to lay on. Basically, and then the battle ensues with Koda throwing a punch, but Deku dodges it, grabs his wrist, and almost suplexes him. But Koda gets the upper hand by punching Deku's shoulder, which makes him twitch a bit, which gives Koda the upper hand to punch Deku, grab him by the neck, and pushing his knees into Deku's back. But then Deku grabs Koda's hands, then headbutts him. But Deku wins the headbutt. You're thinking nobody wins headbutts. Deku wins headbutts. Then Deku grabs Koda's arm and throws him towards the far side of the arena. But Koda talks very loudly, and then a freaking tidal wave of bugs turns into a tentacle and just slaps Koda downward. Grabs Koda. Grabs Koda. Grabs Koda. Chucks him. And then Koda gets to do like a Superman stance and punches Deku. Yeah, it did a lot of damage onto Deku, actually chipping a tooth. Koda does a freaking barrel roll, goes for a spin kick, but Deku catches the spin kick, spins Koda backwards, grabs him by his head, and then just skips him Koda 3 times on the ground. And then he spins. Then Koda spins back on his feet, but Deku catches him before he can get fully up and freaking slams him into the ground. And then Koda yells a lot of bugs out to Deku, but Deku blitzes all the bugs, picks up the ground beneath him, and then freaking hits him with the Saitama table flip, flipping Koda outside of the ring, making Deku the victor. He actually had to use his. He didn't have to use his buff. He actually had to use his buff form to do this, but he still did it. And that is the end of that arc. I think I can keep going, right? Yeah, we'll keep going, okay? I'll just... No, we will not keep going. Actually, we'll keep going. Then Deku gets his medal, and then he buffs up as tall as All Might and gives him a hug. They both give each other a loving hug. And then then Deku walks towards Todoroki, picks him up like the baby girl he is, and then they walk. Then they walk off with Koda walking with them, with Duplo Arms walking with them, then joining them after, and then they walk into the sunset. That's where I'm going to leave things right now. Like, subscribe, hit the post notification bell, if you like this content, why did I just say that? I don't know, but if you did like it, thank you. And if you didn't like it, that's fine. And, well, we're trying to hit 50 subs to get that 50 subscriber special. Peace, da flippin' out. You are the best. Always remember that, brava.